All right. Welcome back. We were
Welcome back.
we were off for a week. Took a little holiday, but we're
Well,
back
first
now.
off, I would just like to point out that all last week my air conditioning wasn't working.
Lovely.
Uh,
Just as summer's heating up.
yes,
Perfect
and of
timing.
course, like if you own any pets,
Mhm.
it's awful. And so it's set to 68, but currently, well, it got fixed today, but it was almost 90 degrees every day last week in my condo. My poor cats,
Damn.
and like I did talk to the doctors at work
Mhm.
just to make sure, and they were like, "Yeah, cats are fine. Like they like the warmer heat,
Yeah, I've
and
heard
like
that too. They
yeah,
they can
and
kind of like thrive in it more than a lot of animals can.
yeah, and so they don't mind. Like, and they'll sit, and Lemmy probably does this, but like he'll sunbathe, and
Mhm.
so they'll just kind of
Yeah.
sit in the sun anyway, so the heat won't bother them as much.
Yeah.
It would probably bother dogs more. If you had a
Mhm.
dog, it would be more of a problem. But still, I'm like, poor cats. And then I had to get like DoorDash.
This
I had DoorDash two box fans. So I had two box fans plus two over fans, like the ceiling fans, going at the same time for an entire week.
and
Jesus.
this week is sponsored by DoorDash. No.
And I'm just kidding. Oh my God, could you imagine? Sponsor us.
Yeah, that would be money. If only.
If
Hey,
only.
Hey, if anybody listening to this wants to sponsor a podcast that's under 100 followers, let's go. You could
Yeah,
be our,
we
you
have a
could be the
whopping
startup
like
that
eight. I think we have like 8 or 9 followers, so we're getting there.
I was about to say, hey, DoorDash, you could be the push that we need.
DoorDash, BetterHelp.
Better
What else?
stop
What else?
Squarespace,
What else did?
Squarespace, Squarespace, like the website
Yes,
making
Squarespace. MeUndies is also another one.
HelloFresh.
HelloFresh, and I did use HelloFresh for like a good minute. It's
Yeah,
great,
same. We
but
got a
I
we got a free trial. I'm thankful though,
uh,
because now I know how to cook certain things. Like I
yes,
didn't know how to cook salmon, so HelloFresh taught
yeah,
me how to do that.
and it's
So
great, but I just don't have the time because I
no, no.
by the time I get home from work, 4 out of the 5 days, it's almost 7 o'clock. And who wants
Yeah.
this? And then they tell you HelloFresh says, "Oh, it takes 10 minutes to prep and 20 minutes to cook." No, it doesn't.
Yeah, my whole thing was it was just like not it's not it wasn't adding up financially and there was just not like a lot of options like at all. So
Yeah, and now that you're gluten free, it's probably even harder.
yeah, yeah, we
Yeah.
managed to find we only found like the trial meal that we got the trial like pack or whatever the free trial was where they're like use this code for the free
Mhm.
trial, you know what I mean? Like that whole thing.
I did
We
that.
only did 3 meals and they were good. It was like steak, a
Yeah.
pork meal, and then like salmon, but I'm thankful again because now I know how to cook those
Yeah,
certain things like
and it is good because you do get to keep the recipes.
mhm, yep, I
So,
literally still
yeah.
refer to the recipe cards for, like, roasting veggies
Yep.
and stuff like that, so but yeah, what's our topic today? We're
Oh
we're doing a little bit
gosh.
of, we're trying to investigate something here today.
First, Ryan Murphy.
Mhm.
Just
You may or may not know him, but he's made probably a lot of TV shows on TV that
like
you've seen.
the mid 2000s was like his prime for
Yeah,
things. And
yeah,
first of all, I was googling it because I wanted to see how many shows he made that I actually watched. And when I
uh-huh.
was looking it up, it says that he directed Eat, Pray, Love,
Huh, fun fact.
and
Fun
I'm just
fact, you
like,
heard it here first.
huh?
I've never seen that movie. The only reference I think I mentioned this to you the other day, but the only reference I have of that movie is the scene where she's eating pizza in Italy,
Yes.
and
Yep.
the other girl across from her is like, "I can't have that," and then she's like, "What? Like, don't care about your waist size." Like, it was inspirational, but I've never seen the movie.
It's supposed to be, and I just
You know, in a Julia Roberts mid 2000s
fashion.
movie kind
Yeah.
of way, you
Yep.
know.
Yep. So I can't, but I just have a lot to say about some of his shows
Yeah,
because, well,
yeah,
first,
and we watched more shows than we thought. Like if for like the first
yeah,
show that we're gonna talk about, I don't even think I realized was associated with him.
no, well,
No,
first, what show were you gonna say?
I was gonna say Glee because I
Oh
thought that was
yeah,
the one that was first,
yeah. Well, okay,
like
so
earliest for him.
apparently he directed He created Nip and Tuck.
Oh, what? I didn't
And
know that.
I didn't know that either because I'm on Wikipedia doing the timeline of like his TV. So there was a show he did
Yeah.
in like the 90s, late 90s.
Uh-huh.
Popular, don't know what that is. But then it
Never heard of
says
it.
from 2003 to 2010 he created Nip and Tuck.
Which kind of makes sense because it is FX, so I think he just kind of
Yeah.
has like a little
Mhm.
bit of like a deal with FX. I know he also did Glee, and Glee was Fox, but
Yep.
most of
Glee
his
was
shows
Fox.
that he's
Yeah.
made was through
FX.
FX.
Yeah.
I thought Nip Tuck was I definitely had you know what? You know what I thought? I thought Nip Tuck was the same as the show Botched. I thought they were the same
Oh,
thing.
I thought Nip Tuck was a movie. Is it not? Well, it's
No,
not.
no, it's a show, a drama show with
Oh yeah,
6
medical
seasons.
drama.
It almost looks
Interesting.
like I mean, Nip Tuck
Well,
makes me think it's, like, about, like, plastic surgery.
yeah, so it
So I don't
says
yeah.
the
Friends who
series,
friends who practice plastic surgery.
yeah, and it says on Wikipedia it
Mhm.
incorporates elements of crime drama, black comedy, family drama, satire, and psychological thriller.
I
And if
see.
black comedy, maybe. I'm
Yeah,
not
it's
quite
like
sure.
it's another way to say well, it says it's like dark comedy. That's another way to
Oh,
say it.
I thought like
No, no,
I was thinking
no, no, no,
it
no,
was
not
like
like
black comedy. Like
no.
okay, makes more
And then you
sense.
look at the cast, you're like, "This is not adding up. I don't
This
see a
I'm
single
very confused.
person
And
on
why
this
is he
show."
making a black comedy as like the whitest man?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
okay, but
But
yeah.
the description when you Google it is actually kind of funny the way that they worded this. It says this often campy series centers on the office of Dr. Sean McNamara and Dr. Christian Troy, longtime friends who practice surgery. And then it says, and in parentheses, and live life. I'm like, okay,
Oh, they were practicing it dead, is what they were doing.
and live life in two entirely different ways. Christian is the stereotypical self-destructive playboy.
Oh
Sean is
God.
a family man facing a moral crossroads as well as a failed marriage to Julia. I'm like, okay, they just throw the girl's name like to Julia as if I'm supposed to know.
Oh right, Julia.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Julia, that
yeah,
got it.
definitely.
Because sounds grim, but a healthy dose of dark humor. Yeah, see, they use dark humor here. This it sounds grim, but it,
Yeah,
why does it sound like somebody's talking about it? It doesn't even sound like a description.
yeah.
It goes
I
sounds grim, but a healthy dose of dark humor keeps things humming and contributes to the show's appeal with both viewers and critics. But be warned, the depictions of the surgeries on the show are a tad graphic. I'm like, okay, probably nothing compared to what he does
yeah,
later on, but
yep. And
but yeah,
so
I've definitely heard of the show, but I've never seen
no.
Nip Tuck at all.
And then after Nip Tuck was Glee. So that aired in 2009. So I'm gonna read the Glee.
Glee.
Yeah, that's what you missed on Glee, and then it's like really high pitched. Um, what? Well, this whole show, but it says, according to
Oh boy.
Google, optimistic teacher Will Schuster heads up High's McKinley High School's Glee Club, called the New
Uh-huh.
Directions, a place where ambitious and talented students can find strength, acceptance, and their voice. As the students
Mhm.
find themselves, they also enjoy a respite from the harsh realities of life. Mr. Schuster hopes to help the kids in every way he can and also dreams of taking the group to nationals. As Schuster and the Glee Club pursue their goal, they face opposition from a convicting cheerleading coach, Sue Sylvester, who tries to sabotage the group at every turn. It's accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and first of all, a lot of Ryan Murphy shows, and you'll agree with me on this, but a lot of his shows, like, it starts off like you're gonna really like it.
Uh-huh.
Starts off strong, and then, like, starting like 5 seasons in, it just goes downhill.
Yep.
And you're like,
Such
what?
such good premise,
Yes.
but never executed well.
And
I mean,
yeah.
American Horror Story, to be honest, as a series as a whole, we'll get into it after Glee because there's more to say about Glee for sure. But American Horror Story in general was like that because the
Yes.
first couple of seasons, like it's literally like a time, like it, just picture like a line graph. It's just the first couple of seasons going up, going up, going up, and
And
then just plummets.
yeah, and I would say like there was one season where it's like not horrible, but not great. and
Yeah.
then it downhill. So Glee was like that. So
Uh-huh.
obviously there's 6 seasons.
Okay.
There's, a pregnant cheerleader. There's a jock that can sing that, is not in the Glee Club, and why would he do that?
Very
Um,
Troy Bolton vibes. I'm on
yes,
to you, Ryan. I'm on to you, Ryan Murphy. He's
yes.
like watching High School Musical, like, write that down, write
Write
that
that
down.
down. Oh, pretty boy can sing, but doesn't want to know that he can sing. His friends, no, no, no. Okay, write this.
Yeah. The whole thing, like, you're giving up your dream. No, I'm
I'm
giving
giving
up
up
your dream.
yours. And so obviously then you have the other jocks that are also against him doing Glee when they find out.
Uh-huh.
Then you have a gay guy.
Can't sing, bro. You gotta throw a football.
Yes, and then it says openly gay boy, but in the beginning he was not open about it. Um, you have a kid that's in a wheelchair played by an
Mhm.
abled person, which
Yeah. Ooh.
whatever.
Hey, you know who else has done that? Topic of the moment too, Drake. Think
Oh
about it.
yeah,
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 Degrassi.
and Jurassic, yep,
Yeah.
and
So the
yeah,
early 2000s were full of that. They were just like, "Nah, we could hire somebody that's actually in a wheelchair, but we're just gonna pick that guy over there
yep,
because we already hired him and
yeah.
he's an actor."
And then
Oh my
obviously you
god.
have like Leah Michelle's character. She wants to
Oh boy.
be a Broadway star. She's ambitious, but like no one likes her because she's like hard to be around. Um,
Yeah.
and then you have like I wouldn't call her big, but I guess she is more plus size, like black person, and then
Yeah.
an Asian that has a
Especially, I guess
stutter.
for then too, because now more so like people are like recognizing more so that there's like mid-size, plus size. You know what I mean? Like people
Yeah,
are more recognized by that. But like in the early 2000s, like if you were like a little bit overweight, you were like big. You know what I
yeah.
mean? So
And like so there's obviously a whole wide range of like characters. And
yeah.
so it is good to see that because you're like, oh, you can see your own representation somewhere in a
Mhm.
show like Glee. Like, oh, this guy's gay.
And
Like,
there was also there was an I don't know if she started from the beginning, but there was also like an Asian character, right? It was
yep,
a girl. Forget her name.
yeah. So Tina,
Tina. Okay.
um, she pretended to have a stutter. Why that was the
Oh.
thing, I don't know, but she pretended.
Huh.
Obviously, you have
Just a
not.
Ryan Murphyism, I
Yeah,
guess.
and then you have Naya Rivera's character who's like the cheerleader that's secretly gay and doesn't want to like express her feelings towards like her other friend, also a
Right.
cheerleader that's gay. So like there is
Right.
a lot of good representation in there.
Yeah.
And later on there is someone that is, I guess, a cross dresser slash trans. So like
Yeah.
it could have worked out so well for a lot of these characters, but like later in
Mhm.
the seasons, like there's a lot of things you're like, ooh, like, why would
Yeah.
you like
Just like not things that like wouldn't have aged well,
it's
right?
not it did not have yeah, it did not age well. And then so
Okay.
it starts off strong and I like the storyline. And then
Mhm.
obviously they're in high school, which means at some point they're gonna graduate. And
Right.
so they do the graduation. And I think that might have been the third season or fourth season. And then instead of like they have it where they show some of the main people still in college, but then they're also trying to focus on a new group of like new directions after the OGs graduated. So they're trying.
Is that where like Darren Criss comes into it and everything?
No, he was
Or
in the early seasons because he ended up with
okay.
the other gay guy, Kurt.
Right.
But like, you're trying to focus on like you either should have not made it about the new directions or not made it about people that graduated because they're gone. But like you're still
Right.
following around Leah Michelle, like her entire character.
I specifically remember that because I didn't watch the show that often, but for some reason I just ended up. I know I watched the episode when the tribute to
Mm-hmm.
Corey Monteith. I watched that episode,
Yep.
and then not long after was an episode where I remember it was Rachel, and she was, like, moving into like, she had moved out and was going to college, and she moved into, like, an apartment.
Yeah.
Specifically, I remember that exact episode, and I don't know why I ended up watching it,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
for some reason, I ended up watching that specific episode.
Yeah, and like so she moves to New York. She gets into like her
Okay, New
dream
York, that
school.
makes sense. I remember it being, like, a penthouse apartment that she,
Yes.
like, got into.
Yeah, and then Kurt, the gay guy that she's friends with, like they moved in
Mhm.
together. There was one scene, and we should deep dive into these episodes, but like there was one scene where Finn was still like the masculine jock. Even though
Yeah.
he's in the Glee Club, like he's still this masculine jock. And so his
Who knew
mom,
people could be multifaceted, you know?
wow. And
Who
so
knew?
his mom and Kurt's dad get together.
Oh, okay.
And so they're together, and
Hmm,
obviously
interesting.
they live together now, which means Kurt and Finn's character live together and they share a room. And then he ends up calling Kurt, the gay guy, the F word.
Oh,
Um,
damn.
and again, this is according to Google, like 2009 to like
Yeah.
2015.
Yeah,
No,
that word was thrown around a lot
yeah,
in the early 2000s. I specifically remember that being thrown around, and the R word was thrown around pretty
yeah,
loosely.
yep.
Like, I was watching, this is, like, to cover another day, but, the classic, film, Big Fat Liar, and they
Oh,
just randomly dropped the R word, and I was like,
huh.
"Oh, okay." I was
Big
like,
Fat Liar?
granted it yeah, yeah, yeah.
What?
Granted, it is Marty Wolf saying it, so he's, like, the villain,
Oh, yeah,
so that
yeah,
kind of makes sense that he would be the one to say it, but I was
yes,
just, like, floored. I was just, like, watching it, and then he just randomly said it. I was like, "Oh!"
yeah,
Like, it literally took me back of
yeah.
how, like,
My
loosely they
God.
would just throw around those words.
Yeah, and so like you had the new directions after the OG cast graduated. So they focused on
Mhm.
both of those casts. And then at some point they got rid of the new directions and brought in a third set of students to replace the old ones.
This is turning into, like, Skins when the cast was, like, or, like,
And so
Degrassi
like
when the change that, like, it would, like, they would move on, but then they would still be at the school, like, with new kids.
yeah, and so like I get it, it's a high school, they graduate, but some of
Right.
them like the mid-season crew
Uh-huh.
didn't graduate.
Oh,
Like, and they were still there. The whole point was the Glee Club like didn't win, so they didn't get the
right.
money to continue. So they all just went back to everything that they did before. So the
Okay.
cheerleader went back to doing that. They all kind of split up and did their own thing, and then like the last two seasons, it's a new cast, and you're like, what?
Who are these people?
Who are these
Who are
people? Yes,
to
no,
quote Patrick
Patrick
Star,
when he sees
"Who are
yes.
you?"
And I'm not saying those people were bad, but like it just didn't make sense given the
But
storyline.
like,
Plus, you're
it
still
alienates yeah,
yes,
it alienates your audience, though, because you get so attached to following, like, these certain people, and
yeah,
then they're just gonna bring in these new people, it's like, "Oh, okay, like, why
okay.
should I care about these
And
people?"
during one thing that was cool too, but during Glee they had the Glee project, so like people would
I
audition.
remember that, I
They
remember
would
that. Mhm.
audition, and whoever won guest starred on Glee. So a lot of the extra new direction people over the seasons were people that won Glee
Hmm,
Project, which I thought was cool. But yeah, it's one of
that
those
is
shows
cool.
where like you start off really strong, and then you bring in these new people, which makes sense because oh, okay, they graduated. You would bring a new group of people in, but then like
Uh-huh.
those people lasted like a season or two, and then you bring in new people, and you're like, this is awful. Like I
That's
can't.
wild.
And I watched, and
Wild.
I was one of those people that watched it when it aired,
Mhm.
and then I just like I did watch the entirety of it, but towards the end I just couldn't. I was like,
I
it,
discovered it later on from,
yeah,
memes. Like,
yeah.
there's, of course, the
You
classic
can't
Sue
read.
Sylvester
Oh,
no, you can't. Yeah, of course, all the Leah Michelle memes about how well, basically about how later on people found out that she was basically just Rachel Berry, like,
yeah.
IRL.
Oh, and even and the wild thing about Glee. So yeah, she was basically her character on Glee. So if you ever do watch it,
Uh-huh.
for anyone that watches it, like if you
Yeah,
watch Glee, that's there was
that's
some
her.
wild
Yeah.
stories. There was one of the people that I think were on Glee Project.
Mhm.
She I gotta look it up. I gotta read this. She was like she was racist, I think. Um,
Oh.
or she
Yeah, and
made
then
her
there's the
racist.
whole, like, the somebody that, like, won the Glee project,
I think,
or,
and
like,
then they
the
aired. Oh yeah, so I think it was someone that was on the Glee Project one and was in Glee for like a few episodes or whatever. And she
okay.
said that Lea Michele made her first TV role, Living Hell, and made her question a career in Hollywood. And she said
Oh.
part of that was when Michelle was telling her that she would shit in my wig, among other traumatic microaggressions.
Oh, so Lea Michele was racist towards this person.
Yes, yep. And so she
Oh,
said,
okay.
for
What a
whatever
winner she is.
reason,
Oh boy.
for whatever reason, you know, I don't know if it was, I don't know if it was, I don't know. Because the girl that played Mercedes Jones, Amber Riley, like she was on the,
I
um,
remember, I think she said things about Lea
yeah,
Michele being racist too. The
yeah.
girl
And
that
then
played
it
Mercedes.
says, Amber Riley later said in an Instagram Live that she wasn't going to say Michelle was racist, but she does hope that she has grown and that she understands. So she didn't directly say, I agree, but she agrees. But to go
But
up to
yeah,
somebody and be like, for whatever reason, you're angry with her and you're, oh, I'm going to shit in your wig.
I'm sorry. I know she's 100% obviously not in she's 100% wrong, but that's a funny thing.
Yeah. So
Of all the crazy,
next time someone tries to come for me, I'm going to shit in your
oh
wig.
shit in your wig.
I'm going to shit in your wig. Put that on a t-shirt.
I'm gonna
It's
of all the
awful.
things that you
Oh,
could
it's
say, why was that the first?
but to go up
But
to your cast member who you're supposed to, and not everyone gets along, but to go, no,
yeah.
absolutely not. And then,
Hey,
unrelated to Lea Michelle,
next time you are in a fight with somebody, just tell them you're gonna shit in their wig.
it kind of reminds me of The Help when she made the shit pie.
I was just
And
thinking
she's
of
like,
that. I
eat
was
shit. And
to
then
eat my shit.
eat my shit. And then Octavia Spencer's like, man, you already did. And then
Yeah.
you just see Sissy Spacek, the girl that played Carrie. That's the
Yeah.
lady's mom. She's just in the background, like dying of laughter. Like she's like, "This is
Yeah.
my daughter, and I hate her." Like, good.
Yeah.
It cracks me up.
You know what's the most prominent Glee meme though that I think I recognize because it's just used so often, and I literally just used it for a post about our rom-com episode. The Sue Sylvester meme where she's like, "I'm gonna
Yes,
create an environment that is so toxic."
and she did. And you have to hate her, but you have to love her. Like,
But I was about to
it's
say she went on to be like very iconic and on like a
oh
lot of
yeah,
other things. Like I don't know if you've ever seen. I do recommend this. Maybe this is another show that I'll try to get you to watch in time. But it's the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
oh I
Great
heard
show.
about that. Yeah,
Great, fantastic show. I need to finish the last season, so I have no idea how it ended. But she's in that show from time to time, and she also kind of plays like an antagonist, like enemy role.
yeah.
But she's just so good at
And she's
like
been in a
being
lot of
that role.
stuff. Yeah, Jane
Mhm.
Lynch, she's been in
Yeah.
everything. Um,
Oh, yeah. But
and
Glee
then
definitely, like, skyrocketed her,
yeah,
like, that's definitely the first thing I remember
yes.
her being in.
And then unrelated to Lea Michele, but obviously you know this, and there was a lot of death.
Yeah, there's, like,
And
a curse on the Glee
it's
cast, I've heard about
yeah,
this.
they said there was first it was Corey Monteith.
Mhm.
I
Very
forget,
sad. Where did he pass? It
accidental.
was in the middle well, obviously, it was in the middle of the show because they did the whole tribute
Yeah,
episode
he
and
was so
had
he
to
was
actually put it in the storyline of the
yeah,
show.
he was 31.
So
He
fucking
passed
young, and he
in
didn't even look I remember seeing him and being like, "He's 31, he looks like he's in his, like, early 20s." Like,
yeah,
he looked very young for
yeah.
his age.
And so in 2013, that's when he died. He always had
Yeah.
some sort of substance abuse issue, and he
Mhm.
did get help.
Yeah.
Um,
That's so sad.
and
That's so
then,
unfortunate.
so basically, they urged him to get help, and
Mhm.
wrote him out of like the last 2 episodes of whatever season it was, and they said like
Right.
when you come back, you'll still have your job, which she did.
Mhm.
And then it says, I think it
Wasn't he
was,
found like in a hotel?
yeah, it says a mixed
Okay.
drug toxicity consisting of heroin and alcohol, and it appeared
That's
to have been accidental. Um,
yeah.
and it said
Yeah.
it noted that he had codeine and morphine in
Cody.
his
Yeah.
system.
Mhm. All
Um,
like painkillers.
yep, and then that they found drug-related things like needles and spoons and
Like
all that.
paraphernalia. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So he died
Fucking shame.
first,
Yeah.
and
That was
then
like a shock. I remember hearing about that because he was all like I said, I wasn't the biggest like Glee person. Like I didn't watch it, but he was all over like the magazines, like Popstar, M
mm-hmm.
Magazine, J14. He was always on the cover. He was very prominent in like those magazines, and
Yeah,
just like I could recognize how much of like an icon he was to like a lot of people, even
yeah,
though I hadn't watched the show.
yeah, and then after that, in around like 2018,
Mhm.
and I'm not going to talk
Naya.
about the. I'm not. No, no.
Oh, not Naya.
Before
Yep.
Naya, I'm not going to go too
Oh,
much
okay.
detail because it's very gross, and I just.
Yeah.
Ugh, ugh. But Mark
Yeah.
Saling was
Mhm.
convicted of
A
having
pedophile. He was a pedophile.
pedophile. Yep.
Yeah.
So there was a lot with that, and he was arrested in 2015 for that. Then
Right.
in 2017, he was found guilty. He was
Uh-huh.
only supposed to get 5 years in prison, which didn't make sense in my mind, but whatever. 5 years in prison, and he took his own life while he was in prison.
Our justice system is
Yeah,
broken.
yeah.
Clearly.
And so in 2018, while he was in prison, I guess like right before the sentencing, like he ended his own life.
Mm.
Um, Whether he did that to get out of the deal that he was getting, which I never understood
Right.
because you got 5 years. Most people don't get that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
maybe he did it to get out of it, or maybe he did it because he actually felt sorry for what he did. No one's going
Yeah.
to know. And
Yeah. We'll
then
never know.
the trifecta, I guess, was in 2020. That's when Naya Rivera died.
2020. Okay. That was
That was wild.
so fucking sad.
I
That
was,
was
I
so
was,
sad.
I cried. Like I was
Yeah.
upset when Corey died because he seemed like a genuine person, and he
Yeah.
seemed like someone that Leah Michelle really like. They really loved each other, and
Were they together in real life?
yeah, and they
Oh
like
yeah.
you can tell they really did love each other, and so I was sad
Did they
about
get
it.
married or anything like that? Or they were just
No,
like together?
they were just
Okay.
together,
Okay.
but her death that got me. Like,
No, I know.
oh my
Because it
god,
was like a whole thing. Because it transpired over like a weekend.
weeks.
I
Yep,
remember because I remember seeing like the first thing on, um, I was getting all the updates through like Twitter because I remember
Twitter.
they were saying
Yes,
like, "No,
yep,
she's missing," and then that picture. I will never forget that picture that surfaced of like the night when they were like, "Oh, we're trying to find her," and then it's like the cast of Glee kind of like
yes.
all on the beach,
Yep.
just looking
Oh
out.
yeah, it's
I will
so
never
sad.
forget that
And so
image.
like the whole thing was
Yeah.
she took a boat out with her son. I think he was like 4 or 5. I don't know how old he
Mhm.
was, but he was young and they were on a boat, and I guess the story that we know is that her son must have fallen over the boat. So she went to go
Uh huh.
save him.
Yeah.
And then I guess she did get him back on the boat, but then she never got back on herself. So technically she
Was there
drowned.
some type of, like, storm or, like, bad
I don't
weather?
know. They didn't. I don't think so. Maybe it was just
I don't
like
know.
I read that wherever they were was not a great like river or
Place to
whatever.
be doing what
Yeah,
they like, it wasn't safe
but it's like a
for
private
that?
boat and she's being safe about it.
Yeah.
So it was like a whole thing. And
Mm.
the thing that pissed me off the most is that obviously it's like near some forest thingy. So like a lot of people were saying that there's this lady in the forest and she like senses things, and she like I guess like not a medium, but like that kind of thing where you can sense what's going on. And so this lady in the river keeps saying that, you know, she's alive and she's in the forest. And all the police have to do is go to the forest and they'll find her. And it was going on Twitter, and they were saying, like, this lady specifically said, like, first off, if someone's missing, whether they actually are alive or not, don't put that out there. Like, you're giving
Yeah.
people hope that she could be alive when she's not.
Yeah.
Unless you know for a
Yeah.
fact and you actually saw her, which you didn't.
Right.
No. And then her ex-husband is now, like, seeing this. Her castmates are seeing this. Like, it's just awful. Then they also
Yeah.
said, oh, and someone said they spotted her in the forest. And you're like, okay.
Yeah.
Or why aren't the police doing this? Why aren't the police doing that? Didn't the police check the river? What, blah, 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 blah. And you're like, okay.
And, like, I think they're probably doing everything that they
Yeah.
can. It's just, like,
And she
especially
was,
when somebody falls in the water, you know what I mean? It's not just, like, it's different if somebody's just lost and you're just
yeah,
searching, like, land.
yeah.
Water's a whole 'nother ballgame, you
And
know?
she obviously drowned, and she was at the very bottom of this lake, river, whatever. So, like, do you know how
Mhm.
far she probably was down there? So even if
Yeah,
they checked the
gravity.
first time, maybe they didn't see anything because and
Mhm.
then they checked again and again. They're like, okay, we need to go deeper. And then they found her. So they ended up
Yeah.
finding her like a week, like 4 or 5 days later.
Yeah.
It was so sad. And she has a son.
I know.
And I just felt so bad.
Poor little
And
baby.
then, yeah, like you said, the whole cast, like, posted
That picture, yeah, I
tributes
will
to
never
her. And
that
yeah,
picture on that beach will never
yeah,
get out of my head, and then I remember all the tributes they were posting about her. It was a very, very emotional time. I think also because of the way that it happened, like,
yes,
such a tragic
yep,
way, and the fact that she was with her son, and it was an accident, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I'm just
And you can
and then
tell,
people were doing all this type of speculation, like, "Oh, well, this is a suicide, like, she killed herself." Like, you don't
yes,
know her life. You know, I couldn't stand when they were like, "Oh, this is definitely a suicide." It's like,
yeah.
you have no
You
idea.
you do not know. She is a celebrity that you've never met and would probably never meet if she were still
Yeah.
here. You
Yeah, but that's,
know
like, the
the only
entitlement of, like,
yeah.
people thinking that they know, like, just because
Oh,
somebody's, like, a
well,
celebrity and they like somebody that they, like,
yes.
know, you know what I mean? Like, they know them
Or like
personally.
they knew someone that also did something similar, so it's like, well, that's it. And it's like, the only thing you know about her is what she put out online. What you saw on Glee and anything else she did, that's the only thing you know. Okay,
Right.
she was married once. She's no longer married. She has one kid with that guy. She has a brother. This is all from
Yeah.
Google. I
Right.
never met her. I can't sit there and say that she was having those thoughts. Like, no, come on. Come on. No.
Yeah.
But you can tell the type of person she was based off of all the tributes that her castmates
Oh, yeah.
did.
Yeah, she
And
was
she just
definitely
seemed
well
like a
loved.
very genuine person. And she had, she wrote her memoir and she had a lot to say about Lee Michelle in that memoir, which was great. Um,
Do you have any, like, specifics, or do you remember
no,
did
I
you
just remember she was basically the one that said, "Oh, there's no difference between Rachel Berry and Leah Michelle."
icon, queen,
She didn't word it
air
like
that shit
that, but
out.
based off of that that's what she said. And I was like, this
Hey,
is, yeah. And then,
yeah,
so all of Glee happened, right? Now, mind you, so Glee's from 2009 to 2015. In the
uh-huh.
middle of that, in 2011, he makes American Horror Story. Like, the difference.
Could not be more
Yes.
opposite of shows
And so
being
I
dropped.
grew, so
He's like,
American
"My
Horror,
2 personalities, here you
yes.
go."
It says American Horror Story was created by the co-creators of Glee, but the shows
Uh-huh.
have little in common besides that the shows revolve around the Harmons, a family of three. Oh, so they don't have anything in common besides the fact that they were made by the same people. The show revolves around the Harmons, a family of three who moved from Boston to LA in order to reconcile past anguish. What the
Yep.
Harmons don't know is that the house they moved into is haunted. But
Dun, dun, dun.
it's not haunted by the Casperesque friendly ghost. It's haunted by the demonic creatures. The creatures have a
I love the
history of,
description.
yes,
Casper's not here.
but it's not just Casper, the friendly ghost, it's Casperesque
Casper S.
friendly
S.
ghost. And by spooky, the haunting residents, blah blah blah. devouring them. After living in this house, family patriarch and psychiatrist Ben may need a shrink of his own. And that's just the first
They say every shrink needs a shrink. They say that.
A therapist needs their own therapist. That was the first. But I like how that's the description of American Horror Story when it's not like a general description. It's literally like, oh, I'm just only describing the first season. But okay, Google.
Yeah, I mean,
but
that's where it all starts. But the thing that's always been interesting. I mean, at some point we'll probably take an actual episode, maybe around when spooky season comes around. Maybe we could take
at least the first 3 seasons.
Yeah, yeah. We could probably talk about an hour just about those.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing that was different to me about American Horror Story was the fact that it was like an anthology, like series. So it was like every season. You can watch them completely out of order, and the plot didn't. There was no plot threads that went on to the next season, which I think makes it pretty unique. Which is such a shame why now it's become the way it's been.
Yeah.
So, because again, he's got this pattern of starting so strong and then just like fumbling the bag and just.
Also,
what's our history with
first
American Horror Story? Oh,
so obviously, we watched it in college.
Yeah.
And at that point, I never watched it when it came out. And so you have already seen, I think, the first 2 or 3 seasons.
Yeah.
And then you told Bree and I, like, hey, you have to watch the show. And so we would binge watch all 3 seasons that were out at the time.
I think the first one that I actually seen, I think I watched it a little out of order. Because I think the first one that I watched was Asylum.
I think
because
so.
I specifically remember. I think it had been a situation where I don't know why I remember like being like by myself, and we had started watching like the first part of I think it was like a weekend where I'd happened to stay at school and not go home. I remember specifically watching the first season after the second season. So I think Asylum was the first one
and then
that we all watched.
Yeah, so I think I did Asylum and then Murder House and then Coven. I think that's how I.
Yeah.
But so what is it? Taysa? Is that how you say her name? Farmiga.
What?
Remember Violet from the first season?
Yeah. Taysa Farmiga.
So her sister, in fact, is Vera Farmiga, who plays the nun in the Conjuring series.
Yep.
Fun fact.
Yep.
But again, it goes back to Glee. Like the first.
Isn't she also like the investigator, like with the two like? It's in the Conjuring. She's also like the couple that like investigates the whole like just everything. It's her and Patrick Wilson. They play like the couple.
Conjuring is based off of Lorraine Warren and her husband,
right?
Who can, I guess, like do the whole speaking to ghosts and all that kind of stuff. So she does play Lorraine Warren.
Yeah.
And then in The Nun, which is like I guess
also the nun.
in the spin-offs, she's the nun.
Yeah, and then wasn't Taysa like in that too? Like she played like a younger.
She might.
Wasn't Taysa already also in that? Because I feel like I've seen her like in the preview.
She might be.
That would be funny if she was like acting alongside her sister.
And the age difference too is.
Yeah, it's wild. When I first saw them, like I thought they were gonna say that they were like mother and daughter because the age difference
or like, or that's like
to me.
Like Emma Roberts and Julia Roberts, like that's your aunt.
Yeah.
But so Vera.
I can see that too.
She's 50, and then Taysa's 29, so that's a huge age gap.
Oh,
damn! But
imagine after all that time, they were like, "Hey, you're gonna have a sister." She's like, "What?" Her parents.
Mom, I'm almost 40. Okay.
All right.
I feel like American Horror Story was kind of like Glee, where Murder House, Asylum, and Coven, the best and will always be the best season. And then you get to Freak Show.
Impeccable.
Freak Show was good, not great.
Yeah.
It was watchable. I would watch it again, but like They don't have
There
me
were
in a
things.
chokehold.
There
Yeah.
were things. They
Yeah.
don't have you in chokehold exactly like the
Yes.
first 3 seasons
And
did.
I would watch the first 3 over and over. Freak Show I would watch probably again. Oh my god. Then
But
after oh god. After Freak Show, wait for it. That's Hotel. Now, what are your thoughts on Hotel?
yeah,
Because
yeah. There were choices that were made there.
and again,
It's a
it goes
shame
back to
because
like it could have been so well
so
done.
good.
You had obviously you had Kathy Bates, love her. Sarah Paulson's in it again. You have
Yeah.
Cuba Gooding Jr., so he's pretty well known.
I forgot he was in
Yeah, Lily
Hotel.
Robb. Oh wait, no,
And then
he was in Roanoke. Yes, you have
yeah,
Kathy
yeah, yeah, I was about
Bates,
to say.
Sarah Paulson, Evan Peters. We love him. He came back. You know,
He's a veteran. Him and
yes,
Sarah Paulson are probably the ones that have been in
yep.
the most seasons, I would say.
And Dennis O'Hare has been in like 2 or 3, so he's pretty well
Yeah.
known.
He's always like the creepy like side character.
Yes, you have Angela Bassett again, amazing. And then you have
She did the thing. Angela
Lady
Bassett did the
Gaga.
thing. That yeah, and Lady Gaga was like the face of it. Like that was like I specifically remember like all of the marketing, all of the previews, everything was like Gaga. Like they had her on
And
like everything.
and I remember when it was coming out, and the 3 of us were so excited because we
Mhm.
were like Lady Gaga, and then
Yeah,
obviously
when we say
Kathy
the three of
Bates.
us, we're referring to us and our
Yeah,
roommate who
yeah.
might be on a future episode. We'll see.
Maybe
We'll see. We're
we'll
trying to
try
make
and
it
get there.
happen.
We're trying. But like we were so excited. We were in college together, so like we had to like this is something that we would want to watch at the end of the day or after a
Yeah.
stressful day. Who doesn't love Lady Gaga and Kathy Bates? We love her. Kathy Bates.
Like, Kathy Bates.
Plus, Evan Peters just is good looking. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Evan Peters, this American Horror Story was how people basically discovered Evan Peters, and
Yeah.
then I mean it became such a big thing. Oh my God, Tumblr with
Yeah.
the first season ran with that.
Yep.
The classic scene. You're all I want. You're all
Yes.
I.
And it could have been so well done, but wasn't it in the first episode there was already a sex scene?
Yeah, that's a regular thing for Ryan Murphy. If he's not shocking you with
Yes,
a death, he's shocking you with a sex scene.
because even in Murder House, he had a sex scene. And what's gross about the one in Murder House is that he starts out and you're like, okay, he's having sex with his wife, but
Yeah.
then it turns into, oh, he's having sex with the
Oh,
maid.
spoilers
Spoilers,
for the
sorry.
show. If you don't want to get spoiled, just be aware if you're listening to this and you got this far, pretty much anything that happens in American
Yeah.
Horror Story is fair game for spoilers. So if you
Yes.
don't want to get spoiled for something,
Hmm.
don't listen.
And like even in Murder House, like okay, he's having sex with his wife, and then
Yeah,
some like by the power of editing, it's now the maid.
yeah,
He
creepy.
sees, and by the way, he sees the maid as this young female, like
Yeah.
good a good set of boobs, like she's pretty, but
So you know, got good stuff boobs on.
yeah, yeah, but then she's actually not young.
Yeah, and then
She's
she
I
ends up
don't
being
I forget who I
the
forget her
seasoned
name.
maid.
Yeah, I forget what her name is, but
She was
she
also in Coven.
Coven. Yeah,
I'm
Frances
gonna look it up.
Conroy. There you go.
There you go. Okay.
So Frances Conroy, obviously
She's iconic.
she's
She's
iconic.
iconic. Specifically in Coven, she's iconic. I just never
Oh,
can't get away from
uh-huh.
the image of like her with like the frizzy red hair. Love it.
Hmm.
It was such a look for her.
And so obviously she's like in her 60s or 70s. So,
Uh
but
huh.
he sees her as like this young maid that's trying to get in his pants, and he
Yep.
can't contain himself. But then it's not actually young; it's this old lady.
Yeah.
But like maybe not an asylum that I
Mhm.
remember, but Murder House, there was a sex scene. I'm pretty sure in Freak
Yeah.
Show there was one, Hotel. And it's
Yeah.
like, come on. Like one
Yeah.
sex scene, whatever, okay. But like
Yeah.
at least in Hotel it just seemed like there was so many constant sex scenes. I'm like, This
Yeah,
doesn't
I mean, that was his thing, that was, like, his go-to. My whole thing was in the early seasons, it didn't bother me because at least when they were there, at
it
least
made
they either
sense.
forwarded
Yeah.
the right, they either, like they were used to at least, they weren't just, like as they go on, they get more gratuitous because in the beginning, they at least were used to, like, forward the plot. Like, at
Yes.
least when you saw the thing about the maid, it was like, "Oh, okay, well, this freaky, weird thing can happen where she's, like, making him think that she's,
Yes.
like, this young" you know what I mean? Like, there's a
Yep.
plot device. Or, like, in Coven, how you discover that the one that Tasa's character can kill
Yes.
men by having sex
Yes,
with
yeah.
you know what I
Yep.
mean? So it's like it was used as like a plot. It wasn't
Yes.
just there to be there or for like shock value. But as it goes on, you were just like it just became like more gratuitous and then I just felt
Yep.
like cool. If I wanted to watch porn, I would watch porn. You know
Yes.
what I mean?
Like I don't need and it just does and the ones in the hotel to me, again, just didn't fit the storyline.
No,
It was just
no.
like I haven't had a sex scene yet. Well, sir, it's the
Sprinkle it in.
first
We'll just sprinkle
episode.
it in there.
Sir, it's the
Yeah.
first episode. Of course you haven't had a sex scene.
Oh my god, you know what I just thought we should make a in real time I'm thinking of a meme that I'm probably gonna make him put on our Instagram, but it's like it's a Salt Bay, right? And he's sprinkling salt, but it's like Ryan Murphy. Picture this the steak that he's sprinkling salt on
Yes.
is the episode, and then the salt is a gratuitous, unnecessary sex scene just
Yes.
for the fuck of it.
Yes.
He's like, let me just
Okay.
sprinkle this in here.
Yes. And then I barely watched any of the later seasons, but you have Roanoke,
Mhm.
which I like kind of watched, but
I
it
watched
didn't.
like maybe like 2 or 3
Yeah,
episodes,
and
but
it
again,
didn't.
that didn't even like bother me like plot like it was just that was just boring. In my
It was
opinion.
The
It
plot.
was just boring.
I understood the plot because
Yeah.
the whole thing, like, okay, Roanoke is an actual thing.
Yeah.
So, like, okay, I get it. But, like,
Yeah.
it was so boring.
It was boring. There was like nothing to catch your attention. It like wasn't like
No.
he tried to do this one style where um it was like an almost like a mock like a documentary type
Yes.
style thing, like, he would go back and forth. He had 2 it was very odd, and I didn't
Yes.
catch
Yeah.
on right away, but he had 2 sets of character like, 2 sets of people for the characters, so, like, you would see it was almost like he tried to make like a
Yep.
Dateline-esque
Yep.
show, but while the plot was coming like, you know what I mean? Like, they would show, like, an interview, like, it would be the same person, but there'd be 2 different actors playing the same person because it would
Yes.
be like, "This is the real person, and then this is who's portraying them, and this"
Yes. Yes.
it was
I think
weird.
that's
It was
what
like,
really
"Here's the whole
annoyed
thing,
me.
this is
Yeah.
all fictional." So you I
And
just it
then,
was just too you didn't have to add he didn't have to add that extra layer, but I think it was because around that time when Roanoke came out, that was when a lot of true crime stuff was, like, really
yeah.
popping off on Netflix,
Yeah.
so I think he was like, "Hmm, people like this format, let me try to make" but it didn't make sense because it wasn't like he just made, like, a documentary series about some creepy shit that, like, actually
Yeah.
happened, he made a fictional layer on top of a fictional layer, like,
Yes.
it was just irritating.
It could have been done so well. Most, well, at least from the ones I remember watching, boring,
Uh-huh.
boring as hell. I just no.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
after Roanoke was Colt, and I honestly could not. I don't remember that one.
I watched, maybe about 2
Oh, maybe I
episodes,
did. I don't
and
remember.
Cult came out
Oh, I
in
kind of, yeah.
2017, and it literally aired between when the 2017 it aired the thing that was so eerie about it, and the reason that it put me off to it, was it aired during the 2017 election, which was a
Yes.
very
Yeah.
volatile time, and then here he goes making a show about shit that's, like, happening, like,
Yes.
people, like, being culty towards, like, the election and, like, with
Yeah.
Trump and everything,
Yes. Yeah.
and it was just like, "Dude, this is happening now," like, it's not you know what I mean? Like, he didn't wait years
Yeah. If
later
you
until
waited
people, like,
like a year,
processed the
yeah.
events, but he was, like, doing all this eerie stuff and,
While
like, making it,
he,
like,
yeah.
while it was happening, and it was almost like making people like I would see threads on Twitter about how people were like, "This is just making people anxious." Like it's just
Yes.
like it's not even like it was towing the line too much of like horror and like just like real life shit, and
Yes.
people were just like, "This is unnecessary."
Yeah.
Like
It
it's
says
just like this bloat again, gratuitous, unneeded stuff.
yes.
Because one of the main plot lines in Cult is like people that are supporting, and I think they flat out they don't I don't even know if they mentioned Trump's name, but if you look
I
at the
think they did.
opening credits if you look at the opening credits,
Or
one of the
watching, yeah.
things is someone looking at the camera, and it's very eerie. Someone looking at the camera in, like, one of those, like, Halloween store, like, Trump masks
Yeah.
in the opening credits. I'm just like and
Yeah.
then he has a group of people that are like I think the whole main plot that starts out is, like, somebody starts, like, a violent, like, event, like, while the election is
Yeah.
happening, and, like, somebody gets killed by somebody in a Trump mask, and it's just
Yes.
like, "Really? Like,
Yeah, the
this was your
whole
take?"
yeah.
And, like, he
It
was like, hot take, I did that." It's like, "No, this is just,
no.
like, making people upset." Like
Is yeah, it does say centers around a cult terrorizing the residents in the
Yeah,
aftermath of him winning the 2016 presidential election.
yeah,
It
yeah.
it is a season that does not present supernatural elements.
No.
And
No, it
so,
was
like
just, like, people being weird and, like, things that could definitely really happen, like, just a bunch
yeah,
of culty incel people, like,
that's
trying to,
that's
like,
like
kill people.
making like what that's like making a show like this, like, right after 9/11 or something, and it's like,
Yeah,
no, this is
literally, and
still,
then
like
making the plotline about right, like, let people process what's going on. Like
because even if, like, maybe you do support him, maybe you don't, but, like, for a lot of people, this is a huge upset and it's going to affect their lives in, like, a very bad way. So,
yeah,
like, no.
yeah,
It was
yeah,
very poor taste. I just couldn't. And then after Cult was Apocalypse, which was basically supposed to be a combination of, like, the first 3 seasons.
yeah, it was very bizarre. It was
I
very bizarre.
kind
I
of
actually watched
remember
a
it.
good yeah, I watched a good chunk of it.
Yeah.
I would say about, like, maybe, like, half
Half,
of the
yeah.
season. And the only reason I did was because they kept teasing that people that we recognized from it was so weird. It was almost like he was this is how I can compare it to. It was like American Horror Story All-Stars. Like, you know what I mean? Not
Yes.
to make, like, a real
Yes. Yep.
reference, but literally, that's what it was. It was like the apocalypse happened, and a select few amount of people were chosen to be in, like, these underground bunkers, and it was,
Mhm.
like, weird because it was just, like, it ended up being, like, characters from his previous season that came back. Like,
Yeah.
people from Coven came back, and I was just like, "What, do you
Yes.
have a
Yeah.
cinematic universe now?" I'm confused, like, why like, the most prominent character that I remember coming back was Emma Roberts' character from Coven.
Yep.
Madison Montgomery, for some reason, just comes back, and I guess it would kinda make sense because the people that got into this bunker were all of wealth and very rich.
Yes.
'Cause they were able to you know what I mean? 'Cause, like, people that were they were mostly offering it to people that were wealthy. Because I assume it probably costs a lot to get them there, but it was just very bizarre. It was
Yeah.
very bizarre.
And
It was almost
then
like he was just like, "I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just gonna, like, bring these
yeah,
people
and it
in."
says, like, oh, Sarah Paulson as Wilhelmina Venable, so that must be a new character. Then Cordelia
Yeah,
Good, which was her common character, and
yeah,
Billy, like, Howard from Hotel. So she's playing one new character and two of her old characters. Evan Peters is
yeah,
the same way. There's four names listed. One of them is Tate Langdon from
uh-huh.
Murder House. Like, it did not really fit.
Yeah, I don't even remember how he came into it. I just remember it got really bizarre because it almost just, like I don't know, I think it got into, like, with him just doing, like, gross, grotesque shit, like, oh,
Yes.
of course, somebody dies, and then all of a sudden they're, like, eating them in, like,
Yep.
a dish and food, like, just stupid, like,
Yes.
it's like he took his worst ideas and just put it into a blender and was just like, "Here,
Yep.
have fun." Like, I just
Yeah. And
it was
then
bad. It
and
was bad.
then
Again, cool concept, but again,
and
if
I
you're gonna do
was
that
I was
concept
excited for that one.
yeah, yeah, it's like,
And
again, cool concept, but I just don't get why he made the whole thing about bringing the other characters back. Like, I feel like it could have thrived and been better if it was just, like, what he had done before, like, use the same actors, sure, but just do different characters, just
yeah.
make it a whole new cast of characters to
Or,
make it
like,
stand out on its own.
yes, or you
Because
can
that's what it
reference
is right, you
old
can make,
ones
like, that
without
be
having the character, like, it didn't make sense.
yeah,
1984
um,
also was very boring to me.
yeah, I didn't see any of that, I just
I
saw the
saw,
preview
like, the
but
first 3 or 4 episodes, and it's like, oh, they're in obviously 84, and I think they're like out of high school or they're on
It's like a
some,
camp,
yeah, they
right? It's
go
like
to
a
like
camp or something,
camp or maybe spring break or
or like
something,
camp counselors. I think I want to say,
something, and then
or like
someone dies and there's like a whole thing.
yeah,
Also boring.
yeah.
Got through
And
like
that
2
concept has
episodes.
such a that concept alone has such a like a tendency to be boring now because think about all old
Yes.
like horror movies.
It's
So
already
many
been
horror
done.
movies take
Yes.
place exactly. So many horror movies take place in that setting. A bunch of young people in the woods running away from shit.
Yes.
That's like basically every old horror
And if you're
movie.
gonna do something that's already been done, you
Yep.
gotta do it better, and you didn't.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
double feature happened.
And I will say,
I
I
don't
watched
remember.
part one completely. I don't know why, it just kinda hooked me in. It was again I was kind of upset at the way it ended up because it started out again, he just does this thing. I don't know why, again, we
Well,
harken
how
back
does
to
he
our
keep
point
getting
of
away with this?
how does he keep getting away with this? Right. At this point, I'm pretty sure it's just, like, he's probably, like, a very prominent I wanna find out, maybe he's, like, a nepotism, maybe. Maybe that's what it is.
I'm gonna Google it while you're
Because
talking.
maybe he is. And then you know what I mean? Because I'm just thinking, like, none of this is making sense because unless he had already started out with maybe some type of, like, pull in the industry or, like, money or maybe he has, like, a prominent,
Yeah.
like, aunt or uncle or parent, like,
Your
I have no
cousin?
idea, but again, he started with the whole concept. This had a very interesting, like, concept. Like, this is kind of like I know he did vampires before with, like, Hotel, but this
Yeah.
was kind of, like, more of, like, the Nosferatu type
Ooh,
vampire,
yeah.
honestly. Like, the whole, like, idea was, like, they're, like, all white and their skin's kinda like, ooh, they just kinda get, like,
Yeah.
into these decrepit, like, creatures over time. So that plot was, it was a guy who was a writer, and it was almost like it was like he kinda took elements from, like, The Shining as well. 'Cause it
Yeah.
was, like, the writer who can't like, has writer's block, and then he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go on this vacation, and it's gonna help me to be creative and
Yeah.
everything." Now thinking about it, it is kind of like his almost version of The Shining, but just with, like,
Yeah.
creepy Nosferatu-esque vampires, but it was bizarre. It was almost like it was, what was it? It was, he was trying to get inspiration. The main character was a writer, and then he goes out one night to it's he's in, Cape Cod, which is basically just, like, a desolate kind of, like,
Yeah.
town, like, near like, on the water, and it's just, like, nobody's there. So, I don't know why they thought it was, like, a good idea to go there in the first place, but, you know, classic, like, "Oh, this will be a peaceful
Yeah.
vacation for us." So then the one night the main character goes into like the town, like it's a very desolate town, but there's just like this one dive bar in
Yeah.
town that people go to, and he just went there to like I don't know clear his head, and then he starts talking to people who are like, oh, you have to talk to this person who can get you this thing to help you with your writing, and it's basically like it's a drug. Again, he brings
Yeah.
back like concepts like this is from Hotel as well, the whole thing about like addiction. So like
Uh-huh.
it's a drug that they claim it's basically like it plays out in the show almost like he's on like a speed like meth
Ah.
type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like but he like takes this drug and then all of a sudden he's like in one night he like writes like a whole novel.
Ah.
So and then
It
he
does
keeps
kinda
getting
give
addicted
off The
to it.
Shining vibes too, where it's like,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, and that's what I mean, like, it did interest me for, like, certain things, and it was kinda wild. I think I watched it too 'cause, this season, he, brought it was a random choice, but he brought, Macaulay Culkin, like, out of
Oh,
retirement, he was
yeah.
in it. So that was one of the reasons I was like, "Oh, I wanna see, like, what happens," and the whole thing is, though, as you take this, again, spoilers, but the more you take this, drug, like, it helps with your creativity, but in the retrospect, it just kinda deteriorates you and you become the vampire by taking the drug.
Yeah.
So then in order to keep, like, feeding on it or taking the he also, like you have to start, like, eating people.
Yeah.
So so then they eventually, if they don't stop taking the drug, then they end up being, like I forget what the term is that they use, but they become, like, the Nosferatu, like, esque vampires
Yeah.
that have, like, taken over, like, the town. So it was an interesting concept, but just towards the end, it just kinda, like, fumbled and just didn't end
Yeah.
well. I couldn't even I don't remember how it ended, that's how bad it was. But then that was for some reason, I guess he did, like, the whole, like double feature. Like it's a movie. It's part two. I don't know, but part two was called Death Valley, and I didn't watch it, but apparently it was something about like aliens again, which I'm like, he
Hmm.
did this with Asylum.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Just kind of the age old just retire like resurfacing his old like
Yes.
concepts again and again and again. But I have no idea how the second part was because after the way the first part ended, I was like, yeah, no, I'm not doing this again.
Yeah, I never watched it. And then
Yeah.
apparently the 11th season was called NYC.
Which is wild because like I don't know if I just didn't hear about it. I don't even know. I've never seen any pictures of it. I have no idea what it was about.
So the cover art is a guy that has like a bunch of spikes. He's sitting in a very gay looking position. He has big
Very
horns.
sexualized.
He has big horns that also have the spikes on it. And it's
Yeah.
just it takes place in the 1980s, New York City, and focuses
Okay.
on a string of killings involving gay men and the emergence of a new virus. Nope,
Oh
I
man.
could not. One could not tell you. Like I don't even remember that coming
So
out.
like so like it was
But like
it says
when
it
it
takes
says
place in the
emergence of a
80s,
new
right?
virus, I'm assuming they mean AIDS, right?
Yeah, but it's like again, that's probably not like that was a serious thing that killed a
And
lot of people.
yeah, and
Probably
again,
not something you should make like a horror.
no,
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe to some people it was like, oh, I'm glad that he's talking about it, but like I just don't. Something about it just feels everything he does like it's almost like he's probably like, oh, I did that, but things that he does just feel like inappropriate. I don't
yes,
know. Like I
and
don't
like
know.
even though obviously this AIDS, all that was like in the 80s,
Yeah.
it's still affecting people today. So like
Yeah.
you might want to maybe take a step
Not
back and
portray
say,
it in that way. You
"Hey,
maybe not wanna
it,"
put that lens on it, like
because you're not just saying, "Oh, it's a story about the AIDS that was
right.
happening in the 80s." It's called American Horror Story, New York City, and it's based on the AIDS disease.
Yeah.
Like, if you wanted to make a
Yeah.
story about it and say, "Hey, in the 80s," and give a timeline and get people who
Right,
dealt
or
with
like a
it,
more,
like
like, dramatic thing about it,
yes,
like how, like, the movie, like, Philadelphia, like, something
yeah.
like that, maybe, you know? But
But no, you're making American Horror
mm,
Story
just the way
into
that's again, that's, um,
yeah, yeah.
the same way, like, with Cult, it's like, read the room.
Mhm. And yeah, and
And
then
I have no idea about Delicate, I haven't seen it, but
I think I watched nope. I did see it on YouTube, the scene where like is it Emma Roberts that's
it's
having
Emma
the
Roberts,
baby?
yeah.
And
Yeah,
she's having the
yeah.
baby, and then somehow they managed to get Kim Kardashian in there.
Yeah, yeah, it's
She
like the
doesn't need to
whole
be.
it's
No, like she has that much money, and then Cara Delevingne's in it.
oh, okay.
According
This
to
is like what he well, it's a tactic. It's like how when Hotel came out, he was using like, oh, it's Gaga, like Gaga's in it.
yes,
You know what I
and I
mean? So
think like in this, at least in this cast list of the main people, like Billy Lord's not in it. A lot of
Queen,
you know,
Queen,
yeah, yes,
too good for the season. She was in Apocalypse, way too good for it.
yes. Evan Peters was not in it, according to this. A lot
Yeah.
of the Sarah Paulson, so like maybe they couldn't come back. Maybe they just wanted a break after doing 11 seasons or so.
Uh-huh.
So maybe in his mind, he's like, well, the main people that make it what it is, besides Emma Roberts, like none of them are here. Like I gotta get like
Dennis
a
O'Hare
bit.
was in it, but I
He
feel like
was,
Dennis
yeah.
O'Hare will be in every single.
Oh yeah,
I think Dennis O'Hare might have been in every single
yeah.
season of the
At
show.
least in just one like a minor character. But again,
Was
like
he in?
you're
Yeah, he was in NYC. Oh my god. I'm sorry, but this is just worth mentioning just because of we're found out about this person through Drag Race. Do you want to know who was in the season of NYC?
who?
Patty LuPone.
Yes, yes.
I was about to
Yeah, if
honestly
you
watch.
watch season
I meant to just
16,
look
you'll
up. I
get the
was meant to
reference.
just look
Yeah.
up. Yeah, she was a
Mm.
character on Snatch Game, and she's she's in memes, a lot of memes on TikTok of people
Yes.
impersonating her. But I'm about to just search on YouTube American Horror Story NYC Patty LuPone scenes just to see like
Yes. Oh,
how
it's
she comes into it. Oh my god,
I
that's
but
funny.
and it does
I don't
remind
recognize half the other people in the cast though
no,
from NYC.
and I think that's why they needed Kim Kardashian or someone that was big enough to say like, well, if we can't get Kim Kardashian or someone like that, the only person we
Yeah.
have that people recognize is Emma Roberts and
Mhm.
Cara Delevingne. But it's like, where's your cast? Like your main cast that's been there, the
Yeah.
entire is like not in it. So like your ratings are probably going to be a lot lower unless you can get somebody
Yep.
better. Also, after the fourth season, you want to know why it got really bad after Freak Show? Jessica Lange. She left.
Yeah. Yeah. She was.
That
She
was her
was a big
last
part
season.
of.
And
She was a
she,
big
yep,
part. She was basically like I'd call her the matriarch of the show.
yes.
Yeah, 'cause she was always like the main, not the main character, but like a lot of the plot lines would always
She was
surround
there some,
her,
yeah. And my favorite
especially
scene,
Coven.
oh yeah,
Coven was her season. Oh my god.
yes. But also, my favorite, and this is going to be your favorite scene too,
Uh
but
huh.
my favorite scene in Asylum is the name game.
Yes.
And I just love
Iconic.
it so much. And then you just have like,
Iconic.
and you have Pepper in the background, just like
Uh huh.
dancing to her own,
Living her best life.
living her best life. Oh, it's great. I would, because you
Hey.
don't need to watch the seasons in order. So, like, I would do it the way we did it. Like, go
Uh huh.
do Asylum first, Order House, then
Yeah.
Coven, and then Freak Show, and then screw the rest of them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just don't even bother.
Don't I?
Just don't
And
even bother.
maybe Hotel if you wanted to see Lady Gaga, but the rest like aren't worth watching.
Here's the whole thing. Despite Hotel being bad, Lady Gaga did very good with what she was given. She
Yes.
wasn't a bad
Oh
part of it. She
no,
was
no,
acting
she.
her ass off. She was
Oh,
very good
yeah,
and very convincing and perfect for that like countess-esque creepy,
yes.
you know what I
Like
mean? Like she did good.
it
It's just
was.
that the whole season was just
Yes.
written badly, but
Yeah.
she was probably like the she
Only
was the
good
like
thing.
gem.
Yep.
She was the gem in all the shit that was going on,
Yes.
you know?
And then
Diamond in the rough is probably a
yes.
nicer way of saying that.
And so that's still going on. And then I actually really liked at least the first season of this. But the next thing that came out that we definitely watched was Scream Queens.
Oh my
I feel
god.
like it had
Yes.
really good potential to continue,
Mhm.
but then
Mhm.
again, I also thought that about American Horror Story, and clearly not. But
Yeah.
the
I mean, the second season definitely felt like a dip in the quality for sure.
yes, but still like
From
good
the
enough
first
to
season,
watch. But the
yeah.
first season, it was that like stupid
It's so
funny.
good. It was so
It was
stupid.
stupid funny.
Granted, I watched it back. Like I watched a few of the first. I gotta watch like the full first season, but I watched.
It's
I
so
want to say like
funny.
maybe like the first 3 episodes, and there are some
So
things that I'm like, oh, they would not get away
oh
with that
no.
now. Like there's certain things that they say. Specifically, Emma Roberts' character is very
Oh
vicious
yeah.
with the things that she
Mhm.
says. But she's almost like Regina George, but like times 11. You know,
Yes. Like,
like
Regina George at least said nice things to you and then behind your back talked about you, but, like,
yeah.
Emma Roberts, all of her characters never
Mhm.
had anything nice to say.
No,
But it's
she was
so
just a
funny.
stone
And
cold.
so you have
But we gotta get through this cast because
so
this cast is
le yeah, do you wanna
incredible.
read them off? Do you have the list?
Yeah, yeah. We obviously, like I said, we have Emma Roberts, and she's the whole one of the gimmicks of the characters is everyone in and so it takes place. It's in a sorority is the main like
Yeah.
cast of characters, and the whole thing is that they're all called Chanel. Like the main quote unquote mean girls in the sorority are all named Chanel, and
Yeah.
Emma Roberts is Chanel number one. And then
Mhm.
we have Skylar Samuels, who I think we've seen in like random like I want to
Yeah,
say Disney,
she
Nickelodeon. Like I know she was
was
in
what
Drake
was
and
she
Josh,
in?
Wizards.
Because
She was in Drake and Josh, Wizards of Waverly Place. Like she's the girl in Drake and Josh that goes, "Don't touch me, I'm famous." Remember? She's like the little
yeah,
like
oh,
yeah.
yeah,
She's "Don't
yes,
touch me, I'm
yep.
famous." That was way before, but Then she was apparently
Yeah.
also in Wizards of Waverly Place as
Gigi.
Gigi
Yeah, she's the
Collingsworth.
one that gets the nose job.
Oh,
And
okay.
then the two bitchy friends that just follow everything she does also got nose jobs. So then it's like,
Oh, she's like
yeah,
a mean
yep,
girl. Okay.
yep,
She's definitely playing the complete opposite of this. In this, she's like the like girl next door, like I'm the new girl, like nice
yes,
protagonist, and then later on you find out that the whole connection was that her mom was previously in the sorority and that's why she wanted to join and
yes.
find out what happened because they have like
It's
a very unnerving like opening scene of
which
the sorority
again
because it takes
is,
place in like the
ooh.
80s and then like they go to present day.
Also, why is it always in the 80s that these things are happening?
He's just living in that era. I
I
don't
guess
know.
so.
I guess maybe it's like he's like I'm gonna relive my youth. I don't know, but
My
and
youth.
then we have the icon. I love her so much, Kiki Palmer as Zayday
Yes.
Williams. She is great. This
Oh,
is the it's icon. I remember I watched her growing up on Nickelodeon, and I was a big fan of the show True Jackson
oh yeah,
VP.
oh yeah.
And then we have who I literally forgot until now was in the show. Leah Michelle
Yep, she
was Hester,
plays slash
and she was
Chanel
the girl
number
that had
6.
the
Yep,
yep, Chanel number 6. She's the girl that, has the, headgear throughout
yep.
the entire show.
Yeah, she
And then
has
we have
like
Oliver
yeah.
Hudson. Yeah, she has, like, the headgear, and I think at one point she gets rid of it. I don't remember it's gone at one point, but I don't remember the plotline of how that transpired. I don't know if she just gets rid of it and she still needs it. I feel like that
Yeah,
might be the
no, I think it is because it's not cool to have a neck brace. And it's like one
Yep,
of those neck braces
yep,
that you have after you like break your neck, like
yep,
in a car
yep,
accident. But no, she
yeah.
needs it. She just knows that
She just
if
gets rid of it to
yes,
be popular.
yep, and it
And
works.
then, yeah, yeah, hey. I guess it's the sorority, you know,
Yep.
survival of the fittest. I don't know. The main girl, Skylar's dad is played by Oliver Hudson,
Yes,
who
Kate
is
Hudson's
Kate Hudson's brother. Yep,
and Goldie Hawn's
and
son.
yep, yep. And then we have other who we got here. We got the other Chanel's are Billy Lord, Icon,
Yes,
daughter of
Chanel number
Carrie Fisher.
3. Yep.
If we didn't know that, daughter of Carrie Fisher, and then she's Chanel number 3, and then Chanel
Oh,
number 5 is Abigail Breslin,
which
who was a big
icon.
part of the early 2000s, big
Yep.
part of the early 2000s, iconic movie Little
Yes.
Miss Sunshine. She was in a bunch of like Disney
Oh, and she
things.
was
I
in
want to
My
say,
Sister's Keeper. Great,
yep,
great
yep,
film. Yep.
yep. She basically had when she was younger, she kind of had like a Dakota Fanning esque
Yes. Yep.
career, like a lot of dramatic roles. And then as she got older, we didn't see her as much. So I guess maybe she was just like
Until she
hated acting. I don't know.
dated what's his
You're
face
bringing up
from
what I think you're gonna bring up.
she dated the guy from 5 Seconds of Summer.
5 Seconds of
I made
Summer.
like a whole diss
Like a
track.
lover.
Great. We'll talk about that one day. Just
You really suck.
it's you really suck, and I don't have a no. I'm gonna read the lyrics at the end because
I'm
I don't
sure.
have a
I'm sure.
Facebook list.
I'm sure she wished she could wipe that from the internet, or
No,
maybe she's
maybe
maybe she
she
owns
just
it.
owns
Who
it.
knows?
Yeah, but
She's like,
then
what if she's like, but he did suck.
but he
She
did.
still like feels the
But
same way now.
and then obviously you have who back then I guess wasn't that popular. Maybe he obviously is now, but Glenn Powell, isn't it?
Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
if you go to
Yep.
Wikipedia,
This is before the Glenn Powell. Now he's becoming very popular because of the Anyone But You
yes,
and Hitman, and he's going to be in the new Twisters movie and all that. But
yes. But if you Google or like if you Wikipedia him, it's
hmm
the picture with his like where he's smiling but his mouth is open. It's that
yeah,
picture that they used on Wikipedia. It's
yeah,
great. But my
I
favorite,
love that meme where he's like, it looks like that I will always associate him with a. He looks like a capybara that made a wish to become human.
yes. But my favorite person in the cast,
Uh huh.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Icon queen. It's
Icon.
so
She's so good.
he. This is such a good decision to make the ultimate scream queen in the show Scream
Yes.
Queens. Like she's like the OG. Like she was in before like Neve Campbell and Scream. She was in before that. She was in Halloween. Probably like one of
Yes.
the first. She was probably the first Scream Queen. I
Yep.
would say.
And so I think
You
that
know.
was a good thing because a lot of the older people would be
Oh
like,
yeah.
"Oh, Jamie Lee Curtis." So like
Yeah.
the first season I really liked.
Uh
It
huh.
was stupid, it was funny. It was meant to be that
It was
stupid
hard. It's
funny.
it's one of my favorite just in general like in media and movies, one of my favorite genres is horror comedy.
Yes. Yep.
Like Scream, Happy Death Day, like stuff like that.
Yes.
Love stuff like that. I
And
love
so,
horror
like,
comedy. It's such a great like balance, and when it's done right, it is a
yeah.
treat. And this show is a treat. This is probably honestly, if I had to pick, like I know the first 3 seasons of American Horror Story are iconic, but overall, this might be my favorite thing that he's ever done. I honestly
Yes.
really like Scream Queens.
And
I
I
really
feel
like
like
it.
it sucks because the second season was good, but it went a
Yeah.
little bit downhill. But like the first season, obviously, like you said, a lot of people like Skylar Samuels and Keke Palmer, they're like
Hmm.
freshmen. They want to join, you know,
A
the
sorority.
sorority. And then Emma Roberts' character kills the what is it, the maid, the chef.
Yeah.
Remember, they like
Yep.
burn her face off, and
Oh
she
my god.
dies.
Yeah.
Then they put
Yeah.
her in the dead, like in the freezer with all the meat, and
Yeah.
so they gather all the recruits for the um sorority to like
Like the
help,
pledges,
yeah,
right?
the
They call them the
pledges, yeah,
pledges.
to like
Yeah.
help her get rid of this body, and then the
Mhm.
body's not there. So like that's a
Yep.
whole mystery, and then other people die. Then there's someone in the Red Devil mascot.
Yeah, that's the whole thing
Yeah,
is the whole mystery of the season, and I like this because they kept it going on and was like an a plotline, like, they didn't just give it away right away, which sometimes I think he just does in
yep,
other things is he'll just give things away for shock value, but the whole thing that I liked about this is you also had the mystery of, like, who is the Red Devil?
yes,
And they made cases that it could literally be anybody, like,
yes,
they at one point made each person look suspicious, which was
yes.
great for the
And
mystery of it
yes,
all.
and Pretty Little Liars did the same thing where their
Mhm.
whole killer was A, and
Right,
you know, you
right.
think, oh, it's Allison, like blah blah blah, but it's obviously not Allison. But then there's always someone that's suspicious in some way, and I just love it.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
my favorite, the funniest scene, because Ariana Grande is in it.
Yeah, I was about to say
We forgot to
other
add her in it because she's not listed
there's
on
4 other
Wikipedia.
right, well there's 4 other she's listed as I'm on the page of like the cast and they
Yeah.
have 4 people that are listed as special guest stars is what they say.
Oh
So they have
yeah.
Niecy Nash who later works with Ryan Murphy again when he does the Jeffrey Dahmer show.
Yep.
So he does do that thing of like bringing back people. So I guess to point like to some people do want to come back and work with him. So maybe there is some type of an enjoyable experience
Yeah.
here working with him. I'm not sure, but they have Niecy Nash. I know she's like I want to say the
Security.
campus like
Yeah, she's
security.
like on campus security. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Ariana Grande is Sonia, aka Chanel number 2. Very short lived, as we find out. And then we also
That
have
yeah.
Nick Jonas
Oh
and Chad
yes.
Michael Murray.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
So,
it's just
but
like,
do you want to talk about your favorite
oh,
scene?
my favorite scene is the one with Ariana Grande. So like the
Uh
Red
huh.
Devil comes in and is trying to stab her. Obviously because it's the stupid funny, like
Yeah.
he's
Like the
missing
horror
her.
comedy,
Yeah.
silly,
So
like.
like he tries to axe her and she like gets out of the way. Then she like throws something and it misses him or her or whatever. And then
Hmm.
she finally is like dying, right? And
Right.
then she like dies. And you're like, oh my god, she died. And then 2 seconds later she like gets up. I gotta tweet this.
Yeah.
Haha, like I forget what she said, but like, ha, I'm dead.
She
And
says,
then,
like, I'm dead. Or, like,
haha, I'm dead.
I don't know, but she keeps. It's like that whole, like, bit of, like, when somebody's dying and then they keep doing that thing where, like, they take their last breath. They're like,
And they
and they're like,
stop.
and one more thing. You
And
know
one
what I
more
mean? They're
thing.
like, and one more thing.
Yeah.
Or like like somebody's like by somebody's bedside and they're like, you have to tell me where the secret code is, and then they're like, it's in the and then they die and they're like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you
So,
know what I mean? Like
oh,
that whole bit of keep
here's, I
coming
think
back
I
to life.
found the GIF. I gotta see if it says, oh yeah, the Red Devil. She's like on her computer, laying on the ground, and she's like, the Red Devil is killing me. I let him into my room. Somebody please help. And she's like getting stabbed. And then she dies. And then she wakes up, hits send, and then dies again. Like it's
You gotta
that
make sure that's your
stupid.
legacy. You gotta send that last tweet.
Yeah, he's killing me. The Red Devil is killing me. I let him into my room. Now I'm being stabbed to death. Someone please help me, please. And then she like it's
It
so
was so
it
stupid. Like,
may
see,
yeah.
it leaned in. It's good when something's stupid and it knows it's stupid. Like, it was the leaning in
Yes.
to the silliness that I think made this show so good.
Yes. And
Yeah.
then at the end of the season, they go to prison. Well, the Chanels go to prison, the main ones anyway, because
Uh-huh.
they didn't get away with murder of the uh
How to Get Away with Murder. That's a different show for a
oh
different
god,
day.
I did watch a good chunk of that.
Yeah, me too.
But
I had one point in my life where I was, like, very
yes,
religiously,
I
like,
remember.
me and,
Yeah.
like, my childhood friends were, like, religiously watching, like, we would literally, like, call each other, like,
Yep.
after it was done and be like, "Did you see what happened? Oh my god, that was
Or
great."
like you would stay off Twitter to not get like any
Yes,
spoilers.
yeah, to
Yep.
not get spoiled, exactly.
And then so like at the end they obviously didn't get away with it, but instead of going to prison, they end up in the mental institution, which didn't really make sense, but I was like, okay.
Pleading and they I guess they did the whole, like, pleading insanity,
Yeah. Yeah. And
which I
then
don't know. I don't know how far that would have gotten with the, like, blatant evidence that
yes. And
that they did it.
so the second season is Jamie Lee Curtis leaving the university side of things and opening a hospital. How she was able to
Oh,
actually
okay.
do that, I don't know.
That makes sense now because
And
I
now,
remember
yeah,
that John Stamos is there as, like, a doctor,
yes.
I'm gonna say.
So then
Yeah.
she takes Chanel number 5 and Chanel number 3, so Abigail, Billy Lord, and then obviously Emma Roberts,
Mhm.
that she takes them out of the mental institution, and then basically, I guess, makes them work at the
Employs them?
hospital. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sure, makes sense.
And
They're just like, "Here,
then
here, you sorority girls with no medical degree,
yes.
here you go."
And then Taylor Lautner's in the second season. John Stamos
Right,
is
that's
the
right,
doctor.
I forgot
They're
he was
both
there.
doctors. And then there's a new killer called the Green Meanie.
Oh.
And
Yeah, no, wait, yeah, now it
yep.
is coming back to me. Okay,
So like
I gotta rewatch this season.
and so like it is good. The first season was awesome. Second season was pretty good. Like it could have gone, I think maybe a third season, maybe.
I think so too. I think
But there
there's
was
definitely
room.
worse shows that have been
Yep.
renewed for
Oh,
seasons,
yep.
and
And the,
how does when does is Chad Michael Murray in the 2nd season?
I think so.
'Cause I was about to say, I don't rem like, I know
He
Nick
wasn't
Jonas
in
was
the
in the
first
1st
one.
Nick Jonas was in the 1st season 'cause it was him and Glenn Powell were friends, and Nick Jonas was basically Glenn Powell's, like, sidekick, and he'd be
Yes.
like, "Yeah, yeah, man,
But
you're right," you
he
know what I
was
mean?
the
Like, he was
one that was gay but didn't wanna come out as gay.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Oh, no,
But
no, he
then who was
was it said he was Brad Radwell in the first season, but that's the
huh,
character that Glenn Powell plays. Oh, no, he's Glenn Powell's brother. That's what it was.
okay, that makes more
Yes.
sense. Okay.
Now I remember because Chanel goes over, I think at some point to his family's, like, fancy house. I think that's what it was.
Yeah, yeah, I googled the picture, and then
Yeah.
there's, like, a scene where they have, like, a Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah.
Okay, alright.
And then so Scream Queens was good. Then you had American Crime Story. I didn't really watch that too much. So,
Was that with the, was
yeah.
that the OJ show?
Yeah,
Or no?
the first one was OJ,
Okay. Didn't we watch,
which
like, the first couple episodes at school, or, like, we watched, like, the pilot or
yeah, I
something?
think we watched like maybe 2 or 3.
Okay.
I don't think I finished that season. That to
Mhm.
me, like that's fine. You know, obviously like the OJ thing, like that's a huge deal, but like
Yeah.
that was one of those things where like that, okay, yeah, you would make a show about that. And then the
Yeah.
second season was the assassination of Gianni Versace.
Yeah.
And then the third season, which came out in 2021, was impeachment.
Yeah.
So like,
And that was about Bill Clinton, Monica Lewinsky,
yes,
that
yep.
thing.
And so
Yeah.
like all good topics, I just found them boring.
Yeah, it just didn't
Yeah.
nothing about it. I mean, there's some, like, people, like, in, like I would just see, like, previews, and then it was, like, some of the actors that he would get, like, made me wanna watch it,
Yeah.
like, with OJ, we had, like I remember that ended up becoming the reason why we couldn't watch the full OJ season because I remember us just like laughing hysterically every time we saw David Schwimmer.
Yes.
And there's literally like
Yes, yes,
compilation.
he was playing the lawyer. Yep. He was playing
Yeah, and there's
Kim
I
Kardashian's
think
dad. Yeah.
yeah,
Robert.
there was a compilation that
Oh, and then
actually kind
John
of surfaced
Travolta
recently. That
was
I
Robert
remember.
Shapiro. Yes. It was
And
weird.
between the two of them, it was almost like comical. And then recently, I saw like a compilation of David Schwimmer, and it says how many times David Schwimmer said "juice" because that's what
Yeah.
OJ would be referred to. They would call him the
Yeah.
juice, but it was like funny because there was just this back-to-back thing of him going the juice, hey juice.
Yes.
It was
So,
just it was so
that's
such
why
a
I didn't
bizarre
finish
choice though.
OJ because I
Yeah,
just couldn't.
it just got
The other
ridiculous
2
after a while.
seasons, I didn't even bother watching the other 2 seasons.
No,
Like, I
no.
get the whole Versace thing, but, like, was never interesting to me to begin with.
Yeah, but hey, I will say this: bringing back a Glee alumni, we have Darren Criss as
Oh.
the killer in the Gianni Versace season. So I'm like,
Oh.
wait a minute, that's
As
kind
a
of interesting.
killer, interesting.
Yeah, yeah, because they said the season examines the July 1997 assassination of legendary fashion designer Gianni Versace, played by Edgar Ramirez. You probably know of him. Like
But I
I
saw
know
his
his
face.
face when I yeah, and then it says by sociopathic spree killer Andrew Cunanan, played by Darren Criss. Random casting though. They
I
said also
know.
stars Ricky Martin and Penelope Cruz. I'm like, okay, like random
Interesting. I
cast.
mean, I get maybe because Versace's what, like Italian or something. So maybe it's
Yeah,
like you're trying to get people to have. Oh. And then
I
the
don't know.
impeachment one could no, I don't. That was never a thing that I really needed.
Oh my god, Edie Falco is Hillary Clinton. Oh my god, that's Carmela
Who?
Soprano as Hillary Clinton.
Wow. Okay.
I might just wanted just to see that. Oh my god, that's I
Wow.
didn't know she was. But at that time, I hadn't watched The Sopranos yet. But now that I had,
Yeah.
I might have to look up that clip. But the random choice too is I don't know if you've seen Booksmart, right?
Oh.
We both saw
Oh.
Booksmart. Beanie Feldstein is Monica Lewinsky, which I'm like, good for her because she's like a good actress. So I'm like, that's pretty cool.
Wow. Yes, I did. I
Yeah,
do remember that
yeah,
now. Yeah. Wow.
yeah. Oh my
Books.
god, and we have Margot Martindale in this.
He's.
Which if you know her, she's been in like a bunch of like if you look up her like she's been in a lot of different movies.
I.
Margot Martindale, which is just like random actress. I think she's been in like $1 Million Baby, oh my god. She's in the movie Cocaine Bear. That was a good movie. It's very
What
wild.
was?
It's
Who is
funny.
it?
Yeah,
Margot.
Margot
Oh.
Martindale.
Oh. Yeah. She was. I never
Clive
watched it, but she
Owen.
was in. She was the mom in, I think. What's that TV show? That
You know the
Justified.
people
Yeah.
oh Justified.
Because my mom watched it all the time.
Oh,
So I
okay.
just remember like her face.
Sarah Paulson was in it again.
Hmm.
Oh, that was another thing I remember from the O.J. Simpson season. Everybody made fun of Sarah Paulson's wig as Marsha Clark.
Yeah, it
You
was
remember
bad.
that?
Yeah,
Yeah, well, yeah.
yeah, and
I just
then
remember seeing constant memes about her hair.
yeah, and
But
then after
she was also in the Monica Lewinsky season as Linda Tripp. I'm not sure who that is, but leave it to Sarah Paulson. She will be in a Ryan Murphy production.
yes, and then after that, I did not watch this, and I probably will go back because it's Evan Peters, but he made a thing, Dahmer, and it's Monster, the Jeffrey Dahmer story. So I'll probably watch that.
Hmm.
I haven't, but it is Evan Peters.
Yeah.
But I think it's
I
hard
mean,
to watch things
I've
like
heard
that.
good things. It's hard to watch. Everyone that I've talked to that has seen it does say it's good, but just to me, it's just like there's certain like it's just disturbing. Honestly, is what it comes down
Yes.
to. Yeah, and apparently Evan Peters had to get like therapy after doing this role,
I would
so
not be surprised.
that says a lot, though, coming from all the things that happened in American Horror Story. You know what I mean? Like,
You would think it, yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna be like, this had to be bad if this was what you know what I mean? Because like he really
Yeah.
had to. Like I know he's won like multiple awards for it, and then I just think it's funny that the next thing that he did was from coming from this, the next like production that he did was a voice in an animated Disney movie. I'm like,
He
oh,
needed it.
he needed to
He needed
heal. He needed
family
to heal.
friendly fun.
And
My
then
God.
I saw a video of it on TikTok, and everybody was like, finally, this is what he needed.
Yeah, he finally got like he deserves this.
Right. And so there was another clip at like an award show where I think it was one of the award shows that he was nominated for, Dahmer, and then they were like, "What do you want to do next?" And he was like, "Maybe," he's like a rom com, you know? Like,
That'd be
and I
nice.
was just like, "Yes." I'm like, "Yes."
Yes.
I'm like, "After all of this," I was
Yes.
like, let go of the chains, Ryan Murphy. Let him go."
Yeah. Yep.
Because he was like, you know how they'll have those situations where like directors will constantly work with like certain people, like how Martin Scorsese always wants to work with Leonardo DiCaprio, and
Or
like
yeah.
Tim Burton worked with Johnny Depp so many times. You know what I mean? Like they
Yes.
get this
Yeah.
relationship of just being in their productions, but
And that's
that
good.
was a meme for a while, and they
Yeah.
were just like, let him be in something
Yes.
lighthearted for once.
Yeah. And then after that, nothing that I've watched, but it says TVA American Sports Stories.
Oh,
So it looks like the first season, and it looks like it's anthology season, so they're gonna have multiple different seasons. But it looks
seems
like
to be his gig. What he wants
like
to keep doing.
you know what he's going to do? Well, maybe not. So the first season is apparently going to be on Aaron Hernandez. For
Okay,
people that know that, um,
yeah,
I think forget. I just know he went to jail, and then I think he also ended his life. But I
yeah,
don't remember what he
yeah.
did. I just
You're
know
right.
it wasn't
I
good.
remember there being like I think I mentioned this to you the other day, but I remember there being a whole like Netflix like
Yes.
documentary thing about it.
Oh,
So,
yeah. He was investigated in the connection with the double homicide that took
mm,
place in 2012. So that was 2012. And then shooting of Alexander Bradley, and they were in the strip club, and something happened, and I don't know if he shot him. And then a bunch of stuff in California, and then a murder of Odin Lloyd, um, shooting of an old friend, or shooting death of a friend, Odin Lloyd. So he killed that guy, and then he was on the Patriots, went to prison, and then I think he killed himself in prison, or he like there was some weird death happening
mhm.
in prison.
And then I just saw, I don't know how updated this is or where this is in production, but as of January 15th of this year, he's in talks to make Monster season 2, which Monster was the Jeffrey Dahmer thing,
Oh
but
yeah.
apparently he's also going to make a season 2 of that about it says Ryan Murphy is telling the chilling true story of Lyle and Eric Menendez, which are the set of brothers
Oh
that killed their
yeah.
parents. So, I mean, and then that ends up being like a whole thing about the abuse that they encountered and all of that.
Yeah.
So
So
being with the
that,
success of Dahmer, that will probably be
and
good.
I
So,
think and then he could do if he wanted to Ted Bundy, and then you obviously
mhm,
have
yep. And I'm
John
sure he definitely
Gacy.
has with all the casting that he's done in the past. I'm sure he'll probably bring, and I can see him bringing like an American Horror Story like alumni
Yeah.
to come back to play Ted Bundy. I can see that.
Yes. And
Whoever it
if
may be.
yeah,
Not Evan Peters. Leave Evan Peters alone.
give him a break.
Let him go.
Yeah.
Let him go.
Yes. And so
Cast
like
somebody else.
yeah, so the first season of American Sports Stories is going to be on Aaron Hernandez. And
Okay.
so I don't know if
He's
every
got Aaron Hernandez, and then he's got the Menendez brother.
yeah, and so I'm wondering
He's got a
like
lot going on.
is American Sports Stories more about the fact that the story is a famous sports guy that did a horrible thing, or
Yeah,
is it like just major sports in general? Like could he then in American Sports Story do a whole thing on um Bruce Jenner transitioning and like his rise to
could,
fame, and then because
definitely
that
could.
might be worth, or maybe he
Watching,
won't,
yeah.
knowing that it's
His
like a
thing though, it's always got to
Kardashian.
be like in yeah. I mean, his thing, the closest he's ever gotten to like, it's always got to be like an element of like like a scandal or like a crime.
Yes,
So I don't think he would touch that just because it was basically just like
Yeah,
a heroic story of somebody like
yeah,
being their authentic self.
yep,
Like, it's always gotta be like he always needs like if Ryan Murphy's gonna do something, it's gotta have a little scandal in it,
yes,
you know what I mean? So even when there's not something involving, like, violence, like, even, like, the Bill Clinton thing, like, there was the scandal there,
yes.
you know what I mean? So, like, I don't know, but who knows? Who knows?
And Patrick Schwarzenegger is gonna be Tim Tebow, who was another
Oh,
guy that played for the same team as um, Hernandez. So he's
huh,
gonna be in that.
okay. Right, 'cause oh my god, Tim Tebow. What was the whole thing with him? Like, the whole, like, meme or something, like, or it was some pose or something that people would do, like,
Yes,
I'm Tebowing her. I forget
yes. It
what
was like really weird, but
oh,
Ryan
man.
Murphy, man, you love to hate
What
his.
a
You love
what
to
a
hate him,
career.
and like
What a career.
as well, I can't say for American Horror Story because I stopped watching it. But for Glee, it
Yeah,
was one of those things where, like, no matter how bad it got, I had to finish it. I was like,
yeah.
eh. But
I got sucked in with that, Cape Cod storyline, so
yeah,
possible. You can
yes,
and then I will say there is another show that he did that does get rave reviews, and I know of some people that watch it. I've never seen it, but, I might check it out. He did do the show Pose, which I know was a very good, like, show for, like, gay and trans representation.
yeah,
So, who knows? That might be another hidden gem of his that I need to
yes, and
check out.
hopefully
And I know Evan
he,
Peters is in that as well. So I'm
yes, and
like, might
hopefully
have to check
he
it out.
he does the representation a lot better than he did on Glee
Yeah,
because it was
yeah,
not
and
done
hopefully it's
well.
like a kind like I that's what I hear about it though. It does receive rave reviews of being like it is like very like revered and respected by the queer community, so like maybe might be worth checking out. I don't know.
Yes,
We'll see. But didn't really want to speak on that too much because neither of us have seen it, but he
yes,
did do that, so
and
we're not leaving it out. For all the Pose fans out there, we're not leaving it out.
so I don't have a Facebook status, but I do, and I read this to you.
Okay.
Um, for all you people out there that are listening, I put myself out on the dating apps again, right? I deserve a man. Go me.
Get it.
Um,
Get it.
so I've noticed that it's like 50-50. Like there are some on there that like you can tell they're decent guys.
Uh-huh.
And then you can tell the ones that like just don't give a shit. And like there's sometimes they will specifically say, I'm not looking for anything serious. And sometimes they're like, whatever. Here's a bio. Okay.
Mhm.
And I said this to you the other day. Looking for a titty to hold that night, preferably real ones. Nobody got time for the fake ones. There. Wait, there as in THERE. So improper English.
Oh, there we
They're
go. There
cold
we go.
and rub off on y'all hearts. We all got self-esteem issues, and I prefer my women's to not wear them on their THERE chest.
Mhm.
And then afterwards, he put the skull emoji. And then to top that off, there's a second guy
Uh-huh.
that, and again, everyone's different. It's not for me, but it says pansexual, poly, married, INTP, and vaxxed.
Okay.
What?
Just
What
checking
a
all the boxes. Just checking all the
checking?
boxes there. I love how they even put it in the MBTI like
Yes.
personality.
Hmm.
Like a lot of times
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
people will not put that in. Like a lot of times somebody will put like a zodiac sign before that, but
Oh
hey,
no, and I've actually seen a
it's a
good.
personality test. It's a personality test based in psychological research. So
Yes.
I did reports on that in college, so I am a fan.
And so if you, oh, and this one, I like being submissive and sucking toes, and then, and then it's the
Not even like fronting, just like
no,
right
and
out.
then it's the emoji that's like the sad but smiling emoji with the crying eyes, like me, like
I think you're on the wrong site. I think they need to be going to Feet Finder. I think they're on the wrong
yep.
site.
So those are my recent 3 bios
Oh
that
man.
I saved them for the sole purpose of this because like
I think
Again,
this could definitely be a segment. 'Cause
I
we'll
will.
get this will be your segment because I am happily engaged and with a man. But
Yes.
you gotta keep us updated
Oh,
on
I
your
will.
dating escapades, your
Yes.
dating adventure.
Good, bad, everything in between. I will let you all know. In case you're wondering, the real sir.
Yeah.
Yep. Good.
You can't make that up. Honestly, they have to be real because they're just so bizarre at that point.
Yes.
I mean, this I do have a status. I have no context to it, which is honestly makes it kind of funnier. So I do have one from May 30th of 2012, just all caps. I don't know what happened. I don't know what was going on, but I just put in all caps. I just can't with two exclamation
That's it.
points. And then the
Honestly,
best
same.
part is the thread of comments underneath it because me and my friend were going, me and one of my childhood friends were going back and forth because she had this thing where she would just like troll me in my comments, like no matter what I said.
Yeah.
I said, so the original status was, I just can't. And then my friend goes, yes, you can. And then I put back, I never could. And then the final comment was, you always will. So
Stop.
I have
That's
no idea.
that's the typical like. Yep.
It's so
Yeah.
2012. I never
That's.
could. You always will. I'm just
I
like, no
mean, that's
context,
a
no
great
nothing.
motivation for you, though. You
Uh-huh.
always
I
can.
never could. And
Yeah.
then I was like, you always will. It's like, thanks.
You always
You
will.
had my back.
You're well. Thanks. Yep.
So just know out there that if you can't, you can, and you always will. So
And
if you
just
think you
know
can't,
that guys don't like the fake titties; they like the real ones, and that everyone's insecure.
like I said, no silicone in my house.
No,
Yeah,
just
very anti-silicone.
like when you're like, oh no, devil, and you put the cross, and you're like, no, you just
Uh-huh.
you got to put the cross up to all the fake titties out there. Not in my house. Not today, Satan, with your fake ass titties.
Not today. Wow.
That's on a t-shirt.
That's a mhm. Mhm.
Yep.
Oh,
But
yeah, I think
I
that's a good
yes.
that's a good place to call it.
Yep. So if you like this, you like all of our other ones. We're on Instagram.
If you're listening to this one, you gotta go back and watch the rest. You gotta get the full lore. You gotta see the journey of how we got to where we are right now.
Yes. Yes.
Ah,
Instagram, Tumblr, not Tumblr. Oh my god. Could you imagine if we still had one? TikTok.
throwback. I
I
don't even know if this
Does
site's
it
like
still
still
work?
functional.
I think I still
I think
technically.
so because I think I do have a friend that does commissions on Tumblr, so I think it is alive for like
Yeah.
certain fandoms and stuff like that. But in
Yeah.
general, it definitely has died down as a
Yeah, I
social
can
media.
still get on my Tumblr.
Oh wow. Okay, this could be a segment too in itself because didn't you have like a very specific Tumblr URL? It was like something about like Tim Burton.
Wait, because I have it. I have it pulled up. And
Uh
now
huh.
this is how old I.
Here's your throwback
Okay.
bit. There you go.
Tim Burton awakened my circus. Now, I just remember because you were big on Tumblr, and I was like, I
Uh
need to
huh.
get on Tumblr. I
Uh
can't
huh.
think of something. So let's Google like
You put it on
those
a
Tumblr
generator.
name generators. And Tim Burton Awakened My Circus came up. So my picture is the Cheshire Cat. Underneath it, it says Lazy Zeus. Where that came from, I don't know.
Who's that? Is it supposed to be you?
I guess so.
Maybe you didn't. Maybe you didn't want to put your name. I remember how the URL came about because I do remember you doing the
Yes.
generator, but I don't know. I don't know where Lazy Zeus came
I
from. That had to
don't
be.
know.
I don't know. We'll get back to you on where that came from.
Unfortunately. Yeah. The last time I edited it was probably senior year because it says 23. I love
Okay.
food way more than I love people.
Hey,
No,
T
it's it's not
T.
me.
Big
I'm
one.
Mrs. Iglesias.
Just like okay, I'm just gonna throw in this line from
And
Bridesmaids.
then the last thing I reblogged, it was the Amanda Show. Oh,
Oh,
or
interesting.
yeah, the Amanda Show.
Topical now.
And it was Amanda in a wig, and she's like, "What's the matter with you?" And she's yelling at Drake, who's playing Totally Kyle. And then Drake says so many things.
Oh, that age, like milk.
Uh-huh.
Oh boy, that age, like a carton of milk. Oh boy.
Yeah. So,
Oh,
woof.
yeah. Well, is
Great.
that a good place to call it
Yes. So anyway, don't follow my Tumblr. But you can follow our TikToks. We do have those.
You should update it and just change the URL to the opposite of like, I don't know, like Tim
Mm,
Burton, like just
d-
whatever the opposite of what would even be the opposite of Awakened by Circus? I don't even know. It's so funny to just think about. How did that even come
Yeah.
up in a random generator?
I don't
What
know.
words did you even put in to get that?
I don't know.
You're just like, oh, I like Tim Burton. Maybe put
But I
circus in
didn't
there.
like Tim Burton like that. Like I wasn't. It wasn't like I was obsessed with like
Right,
Alice
right,
in
that
Wonderland
URL,
or Sweeney Todd or
right, that URL suggests that you like have like a Tim Burton block.
yeah. Like
I'm
I
like,
was specifically like a stan, so I
uh-huh.
could change it to say Tim Burton unawakened my circus.
Update. You're like update,
Update. Update.
update too.
I
Oh
I
man,
I don't understand. I don't
there's
understand.
we'll unpack the lore as we go. We'll figure it out. We'll put the pieces together.
Uh huh.
But anyway, we have all our socials
Yeah, we have a
links. So
link
check us
tree.
out.
Yep.
We do. We do. We have a TikTok,
Yes.
and we're on Spotify, and
Apple
we're on
Podcast.
Apple.
Yes.
So find us there. Find us there
Yes.
to hear the good news about how Ryan Murphy keeps getting away with it somehow.
And I will update you all on my journey of finding a man who respects real titties.
Exactly. Hey,
Hey.
All right. Well, guys, we're delirious. It's almost midnight, and
It's fine.
it's
I
a
have work
weeknight,
tomorrow. Yep.
and yeah, yeah. But hey, so almost Friday. So happy almost Friday. Probably will be Friday by the time this is uploaded.
That's
So
true. Yes.
all right. Well,
Bye.
we'll catch you guys in the next one.
Yes. Bye.